Mike Johnson is completely paralyzed, and sources suggest combination of Senate rebuke plus government shutdown might trigger total collapse of Trump's agenda.
Live look at Washington, D.C. Security top of mind right now this morning as the city prepares for former President Donald Trump to appear in federal court today. He is scheduled to be at the federal courthouse right across the street from the Capitol. The hearing is for this new indictment related to the former president's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election.
We're not talking about normal legislative disagreements or routine partisan battles. We're talking about reports that on January 8, 2026, Senate voted 52-47 to advance bipartisan war powers resolution, banning Trump from further military action in or against Venezuela without congressional approval. That 5 Republican senators joined all Democrats delivering direct rebuke of Trump's commander-in-chief authority. That this happened while government is partially shut down over funding package Trump himself negotiated with Democrats. That Johnson's stuck in middle trying to pass Senate bill his own House Republicans hate seeing as cave to opposition. And what might make this moment so devastating is Johnson's impossible position. Sources suggest if he brings Venezuela resolution up for House vote, MAGA Republicans see it as betraying Trump and could revolt, costing him speakership. If he buries resolution to protect Trump, he looks like he's shielding president from accountability and ignoring Constitution's war powers provisions. Reports indicate same paralysis on shutdown. If he pushes Senate funding deal, conservatives revolt. If he doesn't, shutdown drags on and Republicans get blamed. When Speaker can't make single move without creating political disaster, when Senate delivering constitutional rebuke while administration scrambling on basic governance, when Johnson himself previously warned that losing House in 2026 means Trump gets impeached immediately, that's not temporary legislative turbulence. That could be administration meltdown, where every crisis compounds simultaneously, creating conditions where Johnson must choose between protecting Trump and protecting himself, while knowing one wrong move triggers exact impeachment scenario he's been warning about for months. But before we break down why Venezuela vote represents constitutional crisis and how shutdown fight reveals fractured Republican majority, real quick, you cannot trust mainstream media to explain how multiple simultaneous crises are creating paralysis, preventing Trump agenda from advancing. That's why we built John Brown Show, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want analysis showing why Johnson's frozen position might trigger broader collapse, hit that subscribe button right now. All right, let's understand what Senate actually did and why sources suggest this represents turning point, where even some Republicans finally drawing constitutional lines. Because look at what happened January 8th. Senate voted 52-47 to advance bipartisan war powers resolution that would bar Trump from any further military action within or against Venezuela without prior congressional approval. Reports indicate 5 Republican senators, including Rand Paul, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, joined all Democrats to pass this. That's direct rebuke of Trump's authority, telling him, "You don't get to wage war wherever you want without our permission." Analysts calling this significant rebuke and rare glimmer of hope, Congress finally reclaiming constitutional role on war powers. Why did this happen? Sources suggest Trump launched major military operation in Venezuela, going after Nicolas Maduro without getting explicit authorization from Congress. Critics calling move clearly illegal because Trump completely bypassed Congress, just did it on his own. Advocacy groups saying this shows profound disrespect for U.S. troops and ignores fact Americans dealing with affordability crisis at home, while Trump pouring focus into foreign war nobody asked for. Reports indicate, but here's where it gets messy for Johnson. At exact same time, Senate rebuking Trump on Venezuela, there's partial government shutdown happening, government partially shut down while Congress fights over funding package. Senate already passed bill after Trump cut deal with Democrats to extend Homeland Security funding and buy time for ICE and immigration compromise. So Trump negotiated this deal himself. Senate passed it. Now Johnson has to get it through House. But Johnson's got razor-thin GOP majority and bunch of conservatives furious about any deal looking like caving to Democrats. When you combine Senate constitutional rebuke with shutdown paralysis, with Johnson's impossible choices, pattern emerges showing administration that's not in command, but losing control with Speaker frozen, because every option creates political disaster heading into 2026 midterms, where Johnson himself warned losing House means immediate Trump impeachment. Let's start with understanding what Trump did with Venezuela and why Senate response represents major constitutional confrontation. Sources suggest Trump launched major military operation in Venezuela without getting authorization from Congress. He basically decided he was going to go after Nicolas Maduro and sent in U.S. forces to do it. Reports indicate here's the thing: Constitution gives Congress power to declare war. President can't just start military operations on his own without congressional approval. But Trump did it anyway, bypassed Congress completely. Think about why this matters constitutionally. Sources suggest critics calling this clearly illegal and corrupt because he ignored constitutional process. Advocacy groups saying this shows Trump has profound disrespect for U.S. troops because he's sending them into danger without proper authorization. Reports indicate they're pointing out that while Americans struggling with rising costs and affordability crisis at home, Trump is focused on starting war in Venezuela that nobody asked for. When president launches unauthorized military action while citizens struggling economically, that reveals priorities that might not align with what voters need. And there's Senate's response establishing precedent. Sources suggest January 8th, they voted 52-47 to advance bipartisan war powers resolution that would bar Trump from any further military action within or against Venezuela without prior congressional approval. 5 Republican senators joined all Democrats to pass this. Reports indicate analysts calling this significant rebuke to Trump. This is Senate telling President, you don't have unlimited war powers. You need our permission. That's rare glimmer of hope, Congress finally trying to reclaim constitutional authority over war that it's been giving away to presidents for decades. This is big deal because shows institutional pushback against Trump's tendency to overstep authority, with even some Republicans willing to stand up when he crosses constitutional lines. Think about what this creates for Johnson. Sources suggest Senate just passed war powers resolution rebuking Trump. Now question is, does Johnson bring it up for vote in House? If he does, he's allowing House to potentially join Senate in rebuking Trump. Reports indicate that's going to make MAGA Republicans furious. They're going to see it as betrayal, say Johnson siding with Democrats against president. Johnson could face revolt from own party, could lose speakership if enough Republicans turn on him. But if Johnson doesn't bring it up for vote, if he just buries resolution, then he looks like he's shielding Trump from accountability, looks like he's putting loyalty to Trump above Constitution and Congress's war powers authority. Either way, Johnson loses. There's no good move here, creating total paralysis. But step back and consider how government shutdown compounds Johnson's impossible position, because sources suggest this represents separate crises happening simultaneously. Government is partially shut down because Congress can't agree on funding package. Senate already passed bill to extend Homeland Security funding and buy time for immigration compromise. Reports indicate Trump himself helped negotiate this deal. He cut deal with Democrats. Senate passed it. Now it's sitting in House waiting for vote. Think about Johnson's problem. Sources suggest his House Republican majority is razor thin. He can't afford to lose more than a handful of votes on anything. And he's got conservatives who are absolutely furious about this deal because it looks like caving to Democrats. Reports indicate they don't want any compromise. They want confrontation. They want to use shutdown as leverage to force Democrats to give them everything they want on immigration and border security. So these conservatives threatening to vote against Senate bill, which means Johnson might not have votes to pass it. And there's impossible choice this creates. Sources suggest Johnson trying to end shutdown with this Senate-brokered compromise, but his own party doesn't want to go along with it. Trump's base wants confrontation, not deals with Democrats. Reports indicate so Johnson's stuck between Trump, who negotiated this deal, Senate, which already passed it, and his own House Republicans who hate it. He's completely frozen, can't move forward without risking revolt. Fox News reporting Johnson is optimistic partial shutdown will end soon, but also saying he's facing uphill battle to get there. He's got to convince enough Republicans to vote for bill that a lot of them see as sellout. Share this video with everyone you know because there's what makes stakes so high. Sources suggest Johnson himself warned back in late 2025 that if Democrats retake House in 2026, they're going to impeach Trump. He said this at Turning Point USA event. Reports indicate he framed midterms as make-or-break battle for Trump's presidency. So Johnson knows exactly what's at stake here. If he mishandles this moment, if he fumbles Venezuela vote or shutdown deal, it could cost Republicans House in November. And if Democrats take House, they're going after Trump with impeachment immediately. Johnson has been warning about this for months. Now he's in middle of crisis that could make his worst-case scenario come true. But let's examine why this represents broader pattern revealing administration losing control, because sources suggest multiple simultaneous crises compound to create sense of chaos rather than command. Think about what voters are seeing. Trump being blasted for illegal foreign war. Senate asserting itself and rebuking him. Reports indicate partial government shutdown while Johnson scrambles for votes. Speaker paralyzed, unable to make move without creating political disaster. This doesn't look like administration that's in command. This looks like administration that's losing control. Think about implications heading into 2026. Sources suggest that's a huge problem because voters watching this, they're seeing chaos, they're seeing dysfunction. Reports indicate if Republicans can't govern, if they can't even keep government open or manage basic legislative processes, voters going to punish them in November. For Johnson specifically, this is nightmare scenario. He's trying to hold together fractured party with razor-thin majority while navigating multiple crises at once. And he knows one wrong move could cost him everything: speakership, House majority, and ultimately Trump's presidency if Democrats get power to impeach. And there's tension between Trump and Johnson's interests. Sources suggest Trump wants Johnson to shield him from Venezuela rebuke and ram through agenda no matter what. But Johnson needs to survive politically. Reports indicate needs to keep speakership, needs to keep House in Republican hands. Those two goals might be incompatible. Johnson might have to choose between protecting Trump and protecting himself. We're watching that play out in real time as Speaker frozen between constitutional duty and political survival, with every choice leading to disaster. Share this with everyone because there's what Democrats will exploit. Sources suggest they're watching Republicans tear themselves apart, watching Trump administration look chaotic and incompetent. Reports indicate watching Johnson frozen and unable to govern. They're going to use all of this in 2026, going to run ads showing shutdown, talk about Trump's illegal war in Venezuela, hammer Republicans on chaos and dysfunction, and it's going to work because voters seeing it with own eyes. This isn't Democratic spin, this is reality. Administration is in crisis right now, and if it doesn't get fixed fast, it's going to cost Republicans House in November, triggering exact impeachment scenario Johnson's been warning about. So here's what Meltdown reveals. Senate voted 52-47 on January 8, 2026 to advance bipartisan war powers resolution banning Trump from further military action in or against Venezuela without congressional approval. 5 Republican senators, including Rand Paul, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, joined all Democrats delivering direct rebuke of Trump's commander-in-chief authority. This happened while government partially shut down over funding package Trump himself negotiated with Democrats that Senate passed but House Republicans hate. Sources suggest Johnson's stuck in impossible position where bringing Venezuela resolution to House vote means MAGA revolt potentially costing speakership, while burying it makes him look like he's shielding Trump from constitutional accountability. Same paralysis on shutdown, where pushing Senate deal triggers conservative revolt, but not pushing it means shutdown drags on with Republicans blamed. Johnson himself warned in late 2025 at Turning Point USA event that losing House in 2026 means Democrats immediately impeach Trump, framing midterms as make or break for presidency. Reports indicate Trump launched Venezuela operation without congressional authorization, with critics calling it clearly illegal, bypassing constitutional war powers requirements. Advocacy groups saying this shows profound disrespect for troops, while Americans face affordability crisis. Johnson trying to navigate Senate revolt, government shutdown, fractured House majority, knowing any misstep could trigger impeachment scenario he's warned about. when Speaker completely frozen because every option creates political disaster, when Senate delivering constitutional rebuke while basic governance fails, when administration looks chaotic rather than in command heading into midterms, that might not be temporary legislative turbulence. That could be beginning of broader collapse where Johnson must choose between protecting Trump and protecting himself, with cracks in GOP becoming impossible to ignore as second term potentially starts unraveling through cumulative crises that compound, simultaneously preventing agenda from advancing while creating conditions for 2026 electoral disaster that triggers immediate impeachment if Democrats gain House Majority Johnson, desperately trying to preserve. Stay tuned.